Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Medical Mondays with Dr. O. I am Dr. Toyin Okwesomi. I'm a family practitioner, HIV specialist, and I treat addictions in Maryland. It's always exciting for me to be here on Monday nights to just learn as well as have the opportunity to chat about how we can prevent disease entities and how we can better our communities. So tonight, without much ado, I want to introduce my friend and my sister, Dr. Felicia Bassey, who will be talking to us today about things that are happening in our communities, in our societies, amongst our children. Our children are our future. Their health is critical to our well-being and to us, building legacy and just prospering. So Dr. Bassey is a pediatrician who also, in my mind, also an OBGYN. And she'll be talking to us wearing the first hat tonight, the pediatric hat. So I'm going to yield the floor to you to complete your introduction, and the floor is yours. Welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I did an OBGYN stint at Lagos Island Maternity before leaving for America. So I never completed that career path. My name is Felicia Bassey-Akamune. I'm a fellow of the American Academy of Pediatrics, board certified pediatrician. I practice in Maryland. I'm in private practice. I've been in private practice for 22 years. I serve a community that is mixed. I serve both Africans, Americans, whites, Hispanics, the whole gamut. I'm a true representation of the world is global in my location of practice. Now, my topic today that Dr. Okwesomi assigned to me is our youth, our community, and lessons learned. Community is a group of people having a particular characteristic in common or a geographical area. So I don't know the bandwidth of the people here. Some might be in Nigeria, some might be here, African Americans, Africans in America, Nigerians, and all the different things. But right now, the world has become global. What we have here, we are seeing back home because I also do medical missions. I go home and I practice. Everything, the lines have been blurred with the introduction of the internet. So the same problems we have here are beginning to appear or have appeared back home now in Africa. What the UNESCO describes as youth is age group of 15 to 24. However, the older ones up to 25 years still claim to be youth. I don't know if I was a youth when I was 35 because I started my private practice at that time. Now, I'm going to divide it into three things and then we'll discuss what you watch, what you read, and the friends you keep. Those were the three things that I did, the three compartments that I used when I was raising my kids. They didn't particularly like everything that I did. And they have told me so. Now that they are adults, they are professionals, 30-year-old doctor, architect, business person, but they have come to realize that some of the things I stood for that they did not like, they themselves are actually standing for it now. The most important thing is for us to dialogue with the children. They have their opinions. In my culture, growing up, you didn't question adults. Here, they will question you. They will ask you why. You have to be able to explain to them why you have made that decision. Some want to discuss with you. In my practice, Last week, Thursday, a 10-year-old boy was brought in and told the mother that he wants more rights, that the mother is taking away his rights. He's been homeschooled and he feels his rights are being infringed upon. So I had to sit him down. We had to talk and talk with the mother because he was crying profusely and all that. And I had to explain. And we had to have a long dialogue of over 20 minutes for us to reach a compromise so that at the end of the day, he can do his homework and not watch too much internet. Okay, so what you watch? Movies, games, gaming, guns, all kinds of things occur on the television, on the internet, social media, virtual reality. All those things have been brought into the home. These children, a lot of the times, now you, the parents, have to sit down and watch the cartoons with them because now each cartoon has a message that might not necessarily be in tune with what you watch. 30 years ago, when I was raising my daughter, cartoon was full of silliness. So you could leave them and go to the kitchen and cook and come back. Now it's full of messages. Social media and virtual reality has disconnected the children from reality. It's made them very materialistic. They want instant gratification. They are not processing things as they should. They are raised that they shouldn't feel any pain. They should be happy, happy, happy at all times in all situations. So they don't have the ability to deal with tough situations and tough challenges that can happen in a family. They break down easily. They are very tearful. They are very suicidal. Self-mutilation is very common. Now, when kids come in for physical, they don't want to take off their clothes, and I tell them, I'm not going to sign off your sports form until you take off that sweatshirt and t-shirt. And the next thing you see marks on their arms. One, I saw marks on his belly. The parents didn't even know. They didn't see it because it's always in his room, always on the tablets. And they just thought, well, he's quiet, he's fine. They have poor social skills, poor social interactions. The affect for family life is very, very disconnected. You have siblings that don't talk much, they don't play with each other much. And social skills. In those days, you see boys, they will write you are the apple of my eye. They will go and put a hibiscus flower on the paper so it will smell nice, and they'll put it on your desk, or they will spray their mom's perfume on the letter and come and sneak it on your table. They don't have that anymore because the social media, the iPad has taken over those little soft skills they are supposed to acquire. So they do have problems at the job space too. They feel frustrated easily at the job space. Now that pediatrics has extended our age range to 21, we are seeing those things. We are having to sit down and cancel them. Oh, my manager doesn't like me. My this doesn't like me. Oh, this person is so horrible. Well, it's going to be horrible if your work is starting at 9 and you're showing up at 9:15. You're supposed to be there at 8:45 or 9 o'clock. You're showing up at 9:30, or you come in, you want to take off again because you say, oh, life happens, or work-life balance. There's no work-life balance for your paycheck. You do what you're supposed to do, you accomplish your task, then you can do your work-life balance when You are off on the weekend. You don't do work-life balance Monday to Friday. So they are getting a disconnect with reality. Then the other thing is what you read. The youth don't read anymore. Some don't even know the feel of turning a page. Everything is on the phone, it's on the iPad, it's on the netbook. Their handwriting is very poor. It takes them longer to write. So we are losing those soft skills. Reading also, as we know, is a deliberate activity of eye-hand coordination, and the slow process of turning a page. Sometimes the page is going to stick together and you have to pry it loose. Sometimes the book is a little bit old. So there's a process, there's a physiology in turning a page of a book. They've lost it because the iPad is instant. Everything is swipe, swipe, swipe. Sometimes they're trying to do homework. They have the book on their lap. They have the TV on. They have the iPad on. How many things can you do? So the frustration increases. Also, we have to watch the kind of adverts that is being placed in their programs, in their cartoons, in whatever they're watching on the internet. And these kids are very smart and fast with the internet. I remember when my kids were growing up, when they are with me at home, we read. I don't even allow them on the internet. Then on weekends, when their dad comes home, he goes to the internet when they've gone to sleep. I'm like, what are you doing? He said he wants to find out what sites they have been to. I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. So he was trying to show me, you know. So it's like, it takes two. It's like the work of a detective because he's trying to make sure they did not go to pornographic sites that they're not supposed to go to because now they were teenagers. And they knew that with me in the house, they can do anything on the computer because I will not check. I'm not that computer savvy, you know. So everybody's on their good behavior, reading a book and talking and discussing with me and all that. Then they will excuse themselves for their time on the internet. Monday through Thursdays, my kids didn't have access to internet until they started giving them homework that they have to go and Google in those days, which I allowed, you know. And that's when their dad started checking because sometimes you're walking to them, you actually see them flick something. And I don't know how to retrieve it. They'll flick it back to the page that they want you to see, you know. So these kids are very smart. And then also the friends you keep, peer pressure. That is much more easier for the African family because they know there are just some things you're not going to do. There's just some people you won't bring to the house. And we don't do sleepovers. If you're going to do sleepover, is like my kids knew, sleepover has to be at the Bishopsons or we go to Delaware or Uncle Charles. Other than that, there's no sleepover. Simple. So it was frustrating to them because their friends were having sleepovers and all that, and they will go, but my husband will roll up there at 10:30 and tell them get in the car. So the cultural differences were coming to play. And when they go and cry to my friend or Duayo, and she's like, but we don't do sleepover now. Come and sleep over at my house. Then they're like, Auntie, you're not appreciating what I'm talking about. So peer pressure is real, peer competition, trying to be among, feel among, do what everybody else is doing so they don't make fun of you, especially for those of our kids that are relocating here in their teenage years. They have more problems adjusting than those that were born here. That I have noticed that a lot. There's a difference in how they talk, how they interact with their parents, what they eat because they are now here. I've had teenager that said he doesn't want to eat amala anymore. He eats only hot dogs and hamburgers because he's now in America at 14 years of age. So he had more problems adjusting even into his adulthood. And it affected his achievement level compared to the other two siblings because all of a sudden he was more American than even the American kids born here within a year of his coming. He was stubborn. He knew all the rights. The parents can't do this, they can't do that. Next thing, he started skipping school, you know. So that also comes to the community level, the sub-community. We, the Nigerians, we always move together, so it's much, much easier. We had the Nigerian parents in Howard County, Dr. Aguna, inviting my kids to programs. We had Dr. Bisheson doing stuff. I was doing youth leadership and mentoring program. In those days, they were growing up. So they had their own community of about 20 kids. So it was much, much easier for me to raise them because we all shared the same values. So the younger parents here that still have the toddlers, you have to get in touch with each other, talk to each other, and form that community because it helps a lot. It helps a lot in molding your child. The pressures outside of the home is a lot. The pressures outside of the home is to drag your child away from your family values. So the more you learn to interact together as a group with identifiable norms and values, the better for you. I always advise young parents that they should try to do that. I remember those days we would hold Christmas party in the basement and for the young ones. And when it's summertime, the ones in high school, I used to tell them, there's no need for you to jump out of the house and go to party, that I will bring the club DJ. You come to my house and we would enjoy ourselves. And they said, Auntie, are you going to do that? My parents won't allow me. I said, you watch, just come. And I went and hired the DJ at Love Nightclub. Come to the house, we had food, they all came, they brought their friends. There were about 25 of them. And when the parents wanted to sit in the basement, I told them, please leave. We are here, we the teenagers want to have fun. And they really appreciated that, and it stuck in their mind. And I did that consistently because they were now of high school age. So a lot of them, now that they're all graduates, when we sit down to talk once in a while, that they have the opportunity to come and gather July 4th with my kids. They said, Auntie, you know, when we got to school, some of the parties in school were not even as much fun as the ones we have in your house. So we'll leave. We'll go back to school and do other things. Like, this DJ is not good. We've had better DJs. So that camaraderie was deliberately built by myself and a couple of friends. I remember those days, Dr. Pesomi's kids, they've come to one or two of our parties. And we've gone to the Nigerian Parents Program with Dr. Aguna's kids too, you know, when my kids were coming up, you know. So we have to be deliberate. That particular aspect of peer pressure, we have to be deliberate. We have to occupy their time with sports. My kids did sports. Saturday, there was no TV till 1 o'clock. You either go and swim, roller skate, or do flag football, or basketball, or something. So they had something from the American side. They had something from the Nigerian and African side. And they were able to socialize because when they are socializing with friends, when they are partying, they are able to talk, they are able to interact, and they are not glued to their computer. Right now, we have a problem with inability to socialize in the young people. You have to force socialization. And then when they want to socialize, they don't know how to pick the cues of a bad friend, friends that will lead them to illegal activity. They are not sensitive to those things anymore. There's a lack of natural play. They are addicted to computers and gadgets. There's an increased level of unhappiness now with the number of gadgets they have. Obesity leading to medical problems, sitting on the computer. Now we're beginning to see thrombosis, blood clots in the legs of young people, which didn't used to happen before. You know, there's depression, increased suicide in our younger population, increased suicide in their inability to deal with things. In our time, when you have a problem, you tell your friend Ronke, you will talk for 1 hour. You will call your auntie that you like and talk to that auntie or go over to the auntie's place. America is not like that. We're all very busy. We can't go to those places. And in my own situation, I and my friends, we have created that network for them. So it was easy for them to pick up the phone. It was easy for them to go and visit. When we go to visit auntie, then you see them go and meet auntie in the kitchen and start to talk. I know at that point I'm not wanted. They don't want me to hear what they're discussing with my friend, but I trust that friend to give them good advice. So those are the little takeaways. So we ourselves have to be flexible. It cannot be walk, walk, walk. We have to be able to see and know what they're doing. That is difficult. Sometimes they don't like it. My kids, 2 Thanksgivings ago, we were sitting around the table when they came. They're always there for Thanksgiving, thank God. They said, Mommy, we didn't used to like you when we were young because you were the helicopter mom. You were always in everything we did. You knew where we were going. You knew what we were doing. Before we step out of line, I said, you know, my father used to say, cannot can upon the can. I have done all these things before, so you can't play me. So I will know before you even think of it. Talk less of do it. But now they appreciate the efforts that I put in parenting them. Because in those days, I used to tell them, I'm not your best friend. I'm your mom. When you're 25, I will be your best friend. You come back and talk to me, then you will see a different side of me. And they've seen a different side of me, but like I tell them, at least now you can buy your own groceries and live in your own apartment and buy your own cars. So of course we can be friends because you can pay for my Uber to come and visit you. So they understood, they understand now, but at that time, they were not too happy with some of my decisions, but we were clear. There was no ambiguity. You cannot say your best friend and then you're telling them, don't do this, don't do that. It's kind of sending mixed messages. You can always be firm, which I was, but I was also the vacation planner in the house. I was the one planning for Disney trips. I was the one planning to go to New York for plays on weekends and all that. So it was a question of discipline and the carrot stick. You just figure out a way, be innovative in how you raise the kids, especially for the younger parents. The kids these days are more disrespectful, so be careful. They feel their emotions are easily wounded. So they want more control of their own time, of their own space, of their own schedule. So for those younger parents that have those kids, 15, 16, all the way to 18, it's a lot of navigation you have to do because of the way life is. Even in Nigeria now, we have more drug problems, we have more depression, we have more suicide, we have teenagers going to the bridge, the bridge linking Lekki Phase 1 to Ikoyi is now calling the suicide bridge. They go there and jump off, you know. So all these things they are learning from the internet is coming to play with the African household. The America is now in our household in Africa, and we have to be more cognizant of that. We also, for our older kids who are 27, 28, 26, 25, we need to also learn to sit with them and ask them, how are you feeling? What's going on? Because now we can be best friends with them. So they can tell us, because sometimes they're having difficulties with job. And as you know, the world now is projecting all this wealth, and they think the wealth should be acquired immediately. You know, some of them might feel, oh, I'm not successful enough. And I'm like, but how old are you? You're only 30. So what is it? You want to drive a Maserati at 30? Please take it easy. It's not like that, you know? So we have to find ways to be playful and at the same time get to know what they're thinking about and also get to advise them and help them with their coping skills. Because sometimes it's just a question of finding time to talk to them and making yourself available to them. We are having more suicide among our young adults in the Nigerian community as well. So thank you. Now we are open for discussions.
Wow, thank you so much. You know, somebody just told me that you are killing it back and forth, you know, that you are just killing this topic. You are giving us juice. The core thing, thank you so, so much. This is a very important subject. And I remembered how we came to, we have to talk about this on Medical Mondays with all the suicides that are going on. We had a Nigerian girl at the age of 19 at University of Maryland who committed suicide by hanging last year. You remember that? Around then was when about all the mental health and mental health issues occurring with the younger population now and why that is so. So I got here, you said it, that children these days are not reading like they should anymore. They're not reading like we used to do. You mentioned that. They on gadgets and we don't know what they're on. I remembered all that time when we were raising the children together, how we know what they're on. There's limitation to when they watch TV. They, you know, I know my children don't watch TVs at all until, you know, I think it's 1 hour a day. But
Yes, that was the rule in our sphere of influence. It was
yes,
1 hour, 7:30 to 8:30.
exactly. And that's after
And
homework is done.
after homework, and my husband will be sitting there with them.
Exactly. So these days, parents are too busy. Grandparents are too busy. We're too busy running around chasing things, and the children have no one to spend the time that we spent with them. I remember picnics, parties, like you mentioned, that we did. I even started a Nigerian Parents of Howard County here.
Yes.
You remember that? And then children started their own part of it and even started getting into the government and winning from high school. You know, but what's happening now? This is conversation that is very important, and I'm glad we're having it. Obesity, you mentioned that. You mentioned blood